Next news. Breaking news from the White House.
Tonight, the Trump DOJ just delivered a thunderbolt that has Washington reeling. President Trump dropped his massive lawsuit against the IRS in exchange for something far bigger than personal vindication. A new $1.776 billion Anti-Weaponization Fund now exists to deliver real relief to Americans persecuted by past government abuses. But buried in that fine print is language that has Democrats screaming corruption, while supporters call it overdue justice. One former IRS boss admits he's never seen anything like this before, and the question now is whether this marks the final nail in the coffin of lawfare, or the start of a brand new political war. Now, this settlement strikes at the heart of whether federal agencies can ever again be trusted to treat every citizen equally. For years, Americans watched tax records leaked, investigations weaponized, and families crushed by selective enforcement. Tonight's agreement tells those victims that their suffering will no longer be ignored. It also puts an end to open-ended audits that could drag on indefinitely for political reasons. And the stakes reach beyond any one man. They reach every small business owner, every donor, every parent who ever feared a knock on the door from an agency acting like an arm of one political party. If the deep state can be refined in here, it can be reined in everywhere. But first, breaking news on the critical front for American strength and independence. This breaking news tonight on America's critical mineral supply chain. Saga Metals, trading as SAGMF in the U.S. and SAGA in Canada, is now emerging as a major story in the race to secure materials tied directly to national defense. In less than 6 months, Saga has moved with unusual speed. Now, last week, the company announced a 100% drill success rate across all 57 holes at its radar project, and they finished ahead of schedule. And that matters because radar is being positioned as a potential host for vital strategic minerals that America needs to reduce foreign reliance. Check out the in-depth interview with the CEO on this topic I did over the weekend for the full picture, including latest assay results. And check the exclusive briefing, link below, but it's only for Next News viewers. Now back to the explosive IRS settlement that's shaking the Capitol. Now, what makes this deal even more explosive is the quiet addition that ended every existing audit against the president and his family. No more fishing expeditions from an agency that already proved it can't keep secrets. Democrats are now claiming this creates special protection never granted before, yet the record shows the IRS repeatedly failed to protect confidential returns and use them as weapons. Mario Nafal posting this, that the IRS just agreed to never audit Trump again. A one-page addition quietly attached to yesterday's $1.8 billion settlement permanently bars the IRS from examining Trump's tax returns, his family's, and his company's. The original settlement said nothing about taxes. This showed up the next day. Now, the former IRS Commissioner, Danny Werfel, said he was unaware of a single precedent where the IRS had agreed in advance to permanently forgo examination of previously filed tax returns for a specific person or business. The settlement was sold as accountability. The extra page is a lifetime audit exemption for the president. You gotta love it, right? That is just awesome. So the one-page IRS addendum hands Trump and his family a permanent shield from any audits on past returns. John Harold breaks down exactly how far the protection reaches. Trump's settlement details the IRS is not allowed to go after Trump or any of his family for anything prior to today. So while you have politicians screaming that Trump is like immune from audits in the future, that's not the case. It's anything prior. And this is the statement that was made. The United States releases, waives, acquits, and forever discharges each of the plaintiffs from and is hereby forever barred and precluded from prosecuting or pursuing any and all claims, counterclaims, causes of actions, appeals, or requests for any relief, including injunctive monetary damages, exemptions, examinations, or similar or related reviews, appeals, debt relief costs, attorney's fees, expenses, and or interest, whether presently known or unknown, that as of the effective date of the settlement agreement have been or could have been asserted by defendants against any of the plaintiffs or related related or affiliated individuals, including, without limitation, family or others filing jointly, or parties including trusts, parent, sister, or related companies, affiliates, and subsidiaries by reason of, with respect of, in connection with, or which arise out of any matters that were raised or could have been raised in the case or the pending agency claims, lawfare and or weaponization, or any matters currently pending or that could be pending, including tax returns filed with the effective date before defendants or other agencies or departments. Thank you, Todd Blanche, for signing that. The Office of the Attorney General, dated May 19th, 2026. Huge win. The settlement locks the IRS out of Trump's prior tax years entirely. Grok steps in to clarify what this actually stops and what it leaves open. So the claim of immunity from all future investigations is imprecise. The DOJ addendum bars the IRS from pursuing any claims or any exemptions on tax returns filed before the settlement date by Trump, his family-related individuals, trusts, and businesses. It ends existing pending audits, including a potential $100 million penalty. DOJ statement: this applies only to existing audits, not future ones on new filings. So the deal ends the old audits and wipes out potential penalties that were hanging over Trump. The real payoff comes next as the Trump DOJ sets up a $1.78 billion fund to hit back at weaponization. So it's official now. The Trump DOJ has established a 1776, right? $1.776 billion anti-weaponization fund to grant relief to Americans unfairly targeted and persecuted by the Biden administration. This is in exchange for 47 personally dropping his $10 billion lawsuit against the IRS, originally filed because the government failed to block an IRS employee from leaking their tax returns to the fake news. A big-time win for justice. Blanche says, as part of the settlement, we're setting up a lawful process for victims of lawfare and weaponization to be heard and seek redress. So Trump personally dropping his massive lawsuit against the IRS to make this anti-weaponization fraud possible. Here's his direct response when reporters grilled him.
Mr. President, response to people that are critical of your settlement over your IRS case about the tax now that you can't be prosecuted for tax?
Yeah, well, what happened is I was suing IRS for a lot of different reasons. One of the reasons is they released my tax returns, which you're not allowed to do. Now, they showed I pay a lot of tax. I may even release my current returns because they show I pay a lot of money. But they're not supposed to do that. They were in lockboxes as president. And they released them. And a certain firm released them, which was, I guess, a private firm. But it released them to a lot of the fake news. And the fake news went, and you're just not allowed to do that. And many other things happened. So I released them from the lawsuit, and I guess they made a settlement of some kind. I wasn't involved in the settlement. I could have been involved, but I didn't choose to be. So they made a settlement. Also, the anti-weaponization of people. I mean, people were destroyed. They went to jail. Their families were ruined. They committed suicide. You know, all the Biden administration and the Obama administration, both of them. I mean, the Obama administration started it. The Biden administration was horrible in terms of what they've done to people is incredible. And we're reimbursing those people for their legal fees and for their costs and for anybody involved. But they destroyed people. People committing I read the other day, a person committed suicide over it. They went, you know, it was the most violent thing I've ever seen in politics, what they did. And yet if I say, oh, let's look at this one or that one, they say weaponization. What they did in terms of weaponization will never be allowed to happen in this country again. So we think that those people, we think that anybody involved in that process should partake. And you're talking about peanuts compared to the value. It destroyed the lives of many, many people. Thank you very much.
Many, many people affected by the Biden regime and their weaponization. He's calling out Biden and Obama, the weaponization destroying lives and families. Senator Dick Durbin already trying to paint the whole settlement as a giveaway to Trump allies and J6 defendants. Here's Tricky Dick Durbin.
The Department of Justice and Internal Revenue Service reached a settlement agreement in Trump versus Internal Revenue Service that established a $2 billion settlement fund. This anti-weaponization fund will likely be used to financially benefit the president, his family, his political allies, affiliated individuals, and related companies and trusts, as well as individuals who were tried for their crimes at this Capitol on January 6, 2021. Moreover, the memorandum in support of the fund establishes that the United States is, quote, forever barred and precluded from prosecuting or pursuing claims against President Trump, related or affiliated individuals, including without limitation, family or others filing jointly, or related companies and trust. This memorandum also states that the United States has no liability whatsoever for misuse of funds into the Anti-Weaponization Fund, thereby facilitating the misuse of funds by individuals who've already shown a complete disregard for the law. Imagine if Joe Biden went this far. Would we have a hearing in the Judiciary Committee? I certainly know we would, and you do too. Will there be a hearing in this committee when it comes to this new slush fund?
Imagine if Joe Biden went that far. No. Joe Biden only issued last-minute pardons to people like Anthony Fauci and Adam Schiff, okay? By AutoPen. So this is not about shielding one person from the law. It's about ending a system where powerful bureaucrats could target political enemies with endless audits and leaks while claiming impartiality. The creation of the Anti-Weaponization Fund institutionalizes accountability. Victims of past abuse now have an official channel for redress. That's a direct rebuke to an era when agencies operated as partisan attack dogs. And tonight's settlement proves that lawfare has real consequences and that justice can still be restored. So the message is clear. President Trump refused to let the IRS weaponization stand unchallenged and turn the tables with a settlement that protects the people, not the powerful. So share this video and drop your thoughts in the comments and let me know whether you think this settlement finally restores equal justice under the law, yes or no. And make sure you text the words raw feed to that secret number on the screen, 844-840-4963, to bypass the algorithm suppression of our channel and get the notifications from me that YouTube never sends you. Yes, a direct message from me to your phone. And make sure you check out the Next News merch shelf below this video. This victory shows that when Americans stand together, no agency is above the law, and a republic can still defend itself.
The system controls information. Information control is power. They don't want you to see this. The truth only survives together. They don't want this shared. Share this now.